My name is Birgit Kleim. I'm a professor of psychology at the University of Zurich. My specialty is working on interventions. I'm working in psychopathology, experimental psychopathology, and psychotherapy. So we are specialized in psychotherapeutic interventions. And this is also my role in Dynamore, because we're planning to use intervention to implement them into our studies to deliver ecological momentary interventions at the right time. So this is our part in the Dynamore project.
Ecological momentary interventions are interventions that are provided to people during their everyday lives. And because of almost all of us have access to a smartphone, to maximize ecological validity, more and more ecological momentary interventions are delivered by mobile apps. Increasing number of EMIs are now focusing on the mental health. So for example, people can train their stress management skills or learn new strategies of emotion regulation. Ecological momentary interventions are usually connected with ecological momentary assessment. So for example, in our app, we ask people a few times per day how do they feel. So as you can see, those scales are very user-friendly, very intuitive, so filling in the form doesn't take longer than 1 minute. So for example, when you feel sleepy, you just move the slider on the first scale to the left. When you really feel awake, aroused, then you move slider to the right. The second scale really measures level of pleasure. So, for example, when you feel sad, you move the slider to the left. When you feel happy, you move it to the right. And when somebody feels stressed or discontent or nervous, then the EMI is triggered. So, as you can see now, we ask people to describe their specific negative situations that happened in a very brief window since we last contacted them. For example, missing the train and you will be late for an important presentation. And then the ecological momentary intervention part is coming. So we encourage them to reappraise the negative experience of the situation. It might be, for example, the unexpected benefit coming from the situation, of something that they will learn from this experience. I will not repeat the pattern of behavior again. We are trying to assess 8 different dimensions because we are mostly focused on intervention for people who perceive stress very highly. We also assess calmness, tension, level of energy, feeling well and unwell.
This is actually one of the main problems that Dynamore wants to tackle. We know from previous research that has compellingly shown that not everybody does react in the same way to stress and adversity. And we also know that the majority actually is resilient. So the majority of individuals exposed to stress and adversity, they actually don't develop any problems such as depression, anxiety. They actually recur very soon to their regular or previous level of functionings in all possible ways. And we can learn from these people on the one hand, and it also shows us that we don't actually have to target everybody. So we don't want to provide interventions to everybody, but target those people where we know, they might succumb to stress, there might be a problem, and then we can target those with the right intervention. Dynamore will focus on young people, so young people in a vulnerable phase of their lives, and that is when they transition from home to work or school, education. So those who leave their home and family for the first time. And that's a period of life where we know a lot of them will actually develop some problem, such as the ones that we mentioned earlier. And that's the group of people that we want to target. So young people who start their studies, who have to adjust to a completely new phase in their life that can be really stressful. One of the really most exciting parts of Dynamore is that we obtain data first, And the people who are really experienced in modeling this data will look at it very closely and will inform us on whom and also when we should target people. They've been also tested not only in healthy subjects, but also in patients with physical, but also with psychological illnesses. And there the response has in the majority been positive, and people have given very good feedback without any adverse events actually. So we can really infer that our interventions will be safe.
The idea is that people actually practice in their normal daily life with the things they encounter in order to learn new skills. So rather than learning a new skill with a trainer or a therapist, you're going to practice things in your normal daily life. If you practice in your normal daily life, the idea is also that it's going to sustain, that you really develop a skill that you will be able to apply in new situations, in other situations as well. And the reason for doing it like this is that we know that it's very difficult to learn a new skill, and especially to really translate it to the normal situations of daily life. I was this morning at the airport with a very long line, waiting for the taxis, and so I decided to reappraise it and to think, the sun is shining, I might as well enjoy standing outside in the sun and waiting.
That is positive reappraisal. So that's our first intervention that we are currently looking at. We're testing it at the moment with several groups of students that have given also quite good feedback so far. So this is number one. And the next interventions, we have to wait for the data and then we'll discuss in the project. And it's quite an exciting time. We'll see what comes out. In the end, we will be able to extend this research to a much larger group, and there are some populations, of course, where we know they are vulnerable, and also stress-related disorders as part of their profession, for instance. We know that members of the police, firefighters, the military, there's a number of populations that will benefit, of course, from these interventions, and you can think of many more. Yeah, that would have been really great. The problem there could have been that at the time we didn't really have smartphones. It sounds really old now, but even like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you couldn't have done this study like this. So at the moment we have this really amazing opportunity because everybody has a smartphone. This is part of students' life. So yes, the answer is yes, of course. I think we all had periods of ups and downs where we could have or would have much benefited from interventions like this. So I think it's a great opportunity.